Erik Ten Hag has recently been confirmed as Manchester United's next manager. In this video, I've given him complete control over squad selection, player contracts and transfers, and I'm going to simulate his first 5 years in charge in Football Manager. To ensure this scenario is as close as possible to real life, I'm using a custom database that contains the real life results for this season so far, and simulating the remaining games through to the end of this season, giving Ten Hag control from there. For his first season in charge, United board give Ten Hag a £40 million budget to spend on new players. As this is also meant to simulate real life, Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard, Juan Mata, Matic and Cavani have all left the club as their contracts expire at the end of the real life current season, and they're all widely expected to leave. As we can see, the United board are expecting Ten Hag's side to finish inside the top 4 in his first season in charge. His first signing for Manchester United is Ronald Araujo, a £26 million Uruguayan centre-back from Barcelona, who many of you will know from Football Manager past and present. We can see there's some other signings that have happened down here, but the other major ones are Weston McKennie, American centre midfielder, costing £22.5 million coming over from Juventus. I'd imagine he's going to be replacing the departing Matic in that central midfielder slot. In January, Ten Hag also bought in Darwin Núñez, a Uruguayan striker, coming over for £39 million for Benfica. He plays mainly as a pressing forward by the looks of it, has some pretty decent finishing. And also in January, Ten Hag bought in Charles Gelderhup, a left inverted winger, costing him £6.25 million to bring to the club. There weren't a lot of additional outs of any major importance other than the ones that we mentioned earlier. They were all end of contract releases. So with those signings under his belt for the season ahead, how did Erik Ten Hag do in his first season at Manchester United? Well, first up, let's have a look at the Carabao Cup. We can see in his first season in charge, Ten Hag's Manchester United were knocked out in the third round by Leicester City. Not a great start. Next up then is the English FA Cup. Expected to reach the semi-final, and we can see they were runners-up in the competition. And here's the results for that one. We had a 3-0 win against Stoke to start off. They actually beat Liverpool 4-0 in the second game. What happened there? Playing a 4-2-3-1. Núñez was in the team by that time because, of course, this is the second round, so it doesn't even start really until January. This happening in February. Fernandes, Rashford and Cristiano Ronaldo all getting really good ratings there. McTominay, McKennie in midfield, and the back 4 all doing pretty decent as well. But 4-0 result there with a hat-trick from Cristiano Ronaldo. They then face Doncaster, Millwall and Rotherham, all pretty easy ties. Rotherham getting all the way to the semi-final before losing to Chelsea 2-1 after extra time in the final. Manchester United, of course, also in the Europa League, and they did manage to win this one, getting Ten Hag's first bit of silverware in his first season in charge. We can see the final was a 2-1 win against Juventus, or Zebra because I haven't name fixed this save file. But how did they get there? Well, the group stages look like a little bit of a cakewalk with only 1 goal conceded in those opening 6 matches. They then went on to face Shakhtar in the first knockout round, winning 2-0 before winning 3-0 against Napoli over the 2 legs, facing Valencia in the semi-final, which they won 2-1 on aggregate, before facing Juventus in the final, and 2 goals from Bruno Fernandes, enough to seal that first bit of silverware for Ten Hag. Finally then, we just need to see how they did in the Premiership. Well, here are the results for the season. We can see Ten Hag's kind of been flitting between a 4-2-3-1 wide and a 4-4-2 diamond after what looks like a pretty good start between August and September. He's then had a really bad November, December, January, February. There's not a lot of green in there. They do seem to have started winning matches again in April and in May. May obviously looking really loaded because of the Qatar World Cup happening in 2022. So all of these fixtures being shoved on the end of the season. If we arrange this as well, by goals scored. We can see there's some bigger results in there, but they are against the smaller sides and at the opposite end of the table. When they have lost, it hasn't been by a huge amount, bar that really standout match there that's happened in May, a 4-1 loss to Leeds. But with all of these results and roughly half of them being draws and losses, where did they finish in the league? Well, the final table does look like this. Manchester United finishing in 4th place, 3 points above 5th place Tottenham Hotspur. They will have Champions League football next season, but they are also a long way off the other 3 in the top 4, finishing 11 points behind 3rd place Manchester City and a whole 25 points behind champions Liverpool. Despite that, I feel like this could be considered a successful first season in charge, but there are some problems within the team dynamics. If we have a look on this page, we can see there's a lot of players wanting to leave and wanting better player time. Alex Telles wants to leave, as does Harry Maguire, Donny van de Beek, Anthony Martial, Victor Lindelof. Eric Bailey's also wanting to go out on loan because his playing time isn't great. And then if we come over to the squad page, Cristiano Ronaldo is leaving at the end of the season to join Roma. Phil Jones has only got 1 match over the course of this season and is joining Benfica. Andreas Pereira also going to Nice. So lots of players potentially on the way out. That said, Erik ten Hag does now have £138 million in the transfer kitty to play with. And with that amount of money to spend, can he continue to rebuild the squad and win more silverware heading into season 2? Well, in order to do this, Ten Hag continued to rebuild the squad, spending £98 million on 23-year-old Italian midfielder Sandro Tonali from AC Milan, £39 million for left-back Nuno Mendes from Sporting Lisbon. Apparently he's still there in this version, didn't end up at PSG, which is madness. And another £32 million on attacking right winger Fabio Vieira. It's interesting to see that Ten Hag is only making 2 or 3 key signings at the beginning of each season, and I think he'll probably do something similar in real life rather than gutting the entire squad in season 1. On the transfers outside, Cristiano Ronaldo heads back to Italy with Roma on a free transfer. Eric Bailey ends up eventually going to Dynamo Kiev in January for £6.25 million. And Donny van de Beek heads out to Leicester on loan. Poor van de Beek probably thought he'd be getting some game time under Ten Hag, but it certainly hasn't worked out that way in this simulation. After winning Europa League last season, Man United's first piece of potential silverware is the European Super Cup. However, they do lose 1-0 to that one in Chelsea, who are the 2023 Champions League winners. They don't have much success in the FA Cup either, with Ten Hag's team beating Exeter City and Bolton before crashing out in the 5th round after extra time against Manchester City. There's no European silverware this season either. United finished top of a group containing Borussia Dortmund, Villarreal and Olympiacos. They then beat Copenhagen and Inter Milan before eventually losing 3-2 on aggregate to group rivals Borussia Dortmund in the semi-finals. It's not actually that bad of a run for their return to the Champions League, to be fair. Maybe with a bit of extra work they can win this piece of silverware before the end of this simulation. Meanwhile, in the Premier League, United suffer 10 losses throughout the campaign. Surprisingly, it isn't actually to the bigger teams. Instead, we see them losing to likes of Southampton, Aston Villa and Fulham. In addition to this, they draw a further 7 games, which means they only just finish inside the top 4 come the end of the season. Still, it is another top 4 finish, and with top 4 finishes come money. Ten Hag has given an almost £100 million budget heading into season 3 to further rebuild the squad. Oh, also, they did actually win the Carabao Cup this season. I'm not sure if big clubs actually care about this trophy, but it is another piece of silverware for Ten Hag, and also United did beat City in the final, so I'm sure the supporters would have been happy with that. Heading into season 3, Jan Tjelman joins the team from SC Köln. Also, side note, how can you not love this team? They have a goat on their club badge. Amazing. Tjelman cost Ten Hag £62 million to bring to United and does look like a decent signing. The only other major signing made by the end of the summer transfer window is Ivan Ilic, arriving from Verona for £44.5 million. I still think there is a few players that Ten Hag should be getting rid of. Jadon Sancho is the highest earner at the club, but only actually played in 11 games last season. Meanwhile, Harry Maguire has fallen out of favour, having only actually made 10 appearances last season as well. As it stands going into season 3 though, it is still only a 23-man squad, so maybe some more reinforcements might need to be brought in before these players can actually leave. On the outside, the notable leavers were Van der Beek heading out on a permanent transfer to Leicester for 17.25 million, Fred off to Rennes on a free, and Alex Telles heading back to Brazil. And with that, it's on to the 2024-25 season and Ten Hag's third season in charge. But before we do that, can somebody explain to me what this absolute nutter is playing at? This is Jason Koom, Ten Hag's technical director. Jason is in charge of hiring the staff at Manchester United. But why has he employed 29 scouts and 13 recruitment analysts? And why have none of these people told Ten Hag to sell Harry Maguire? Moving on from this, Ten Hag's third season in the Premier League is possibly the strangest thing I have ever seen happen in Fm22. But before we see how United did in the league, let's have a look at the other competitions. They were knocked out in the 5th round of the FA Cup for the 2nd year running, this time finally losing 2-0 to Wolves. In the Carabao Cup, they were knocked out in the 4th round by Brentford. In the Champions League, they were knocked out in the semi-final again, this time losing out to Arsenal. They started out by finishing comfortably top of a group containing Bayer Leverkusen, Ajax and Marseille, before beating Bayern Munich and Inter Milan on their way to the semi-final. However, they didn't manage to score a single goal against Arsenal across the 2 legs, with the final aggregate score a 4-0 defeat. Now, I did say that United might have a chance of winning the Champions League by the end of this simulation, and with 2 semi-finals in 2 years, they certainly look like they're on the right track. But it definitely won't be happening next season after they failed to qualify for the Champions League. They also won't be repeating Ten Hag's success of the first season by winning the Europa League either, as they also missed out on qualifying for that as well. In fact, they finished down in 15th place. We can see on the results page a huge number of lost games, as well as a huge number of games where United just failed to score at all. It's safe to say that if this were to happen in real life, Ten Hag wouldn't have been allowed to see out the season at United. But in this universe, he still has another 2 years to turn the club around. Despite a spectacularly poor season in the league, Ten Hag is given a transfer budget of 86 million to spend ahead of his 4th season in charge. Ryan Gravenberch is the first Ten Hag signing of season 4. Costing a princely £76 million, can he help Manchester United back into the top 4 spots in Season 4? We also see the arrival of Julian John Guerrero, a young Spanish central midfielder from Real Madrid for £30.5 million, as well as Brazilian left-back Renan from Southampton for £36.5 million. Victor Lindelof is released at the end of the season and heads off to Sevilla. Martial finally leaves on a free for Barcelona, and Harry Maguire heads to Serie A for £11.75 million. At the beginning of Ten Hag's 4th season, the best 11 looks like this. It's interesting to see that the side is now beginning to look like a Manchester United side in Erik Ten Hag's image, with De Gea, Varane, Rashford and Fernandes the only 4 remaining players from the real-life Man United squad. But will this team do better than United did in Season 3? Let's be honest, it's going to be pretty difficult to do much worse after Season 3's 15th place finish. United get off to a reasonable start in the Premier League with wins against Arsenal and Wolves, but then only pick up 4 points in the next 4 matches. They definitely aren't losing as much this season as they head towards January, but it does seem like they're still dropping stupid points in matches they should really be winning against the likes of Bournemouth and Leeds. With only 2-star current ability and an agreed playing time of breakthrough prospect, it's definitely a signing for the future. There are some more player sales, however, with Luke Shaw and Scott McTominay permanently leaving the club, and first season signing Shai Gelderup heading out to AC Milan on loan. The month of January looks fairly decent with 4 wins and 2 draws, but then United seemingly collapse again and only pick up 6 points across the months of February and March. However, a really strong April and May with only 2 points dropped from 8 games means that United secure their best place finish under Erik Ten Hag, finishing in 3rd place. Despite this better finish, they were also knocked out in the 4th round of the FA Cup by West Ham and the semi-final of the Carabao Cup by Liverpool, leaving Ten Hag's men with another trophyless season. And with the 5th and final season coming up in this simulation, Ten Hag is given his lowest transfer budget so far with only £43 million to spend. A quick glance at the finances page shows that United are a huge amount of money in debt, which might explain this, and a season without any form of European competition won't have helped matters either. However, you would imagine that Ten Hag would still be determined by this point to get a big piece of silverware under his belt despite these financial restraints, and in season 5 he seems determined to do that by having a solid defensive foundation. Mario Hermoso, a Spanish left back, is signed from Atletico Madrid for 12.75 million, followed by Igor Divev, a towering centre back from CSKA Moscow for 18.25 million. There's only one major player sale in the summer, with Scheidelsdorp making his loan move to AC Milan permanent and United receiving a £16 million fee for him. The Premier League season starts quite well with 3 wins from 3 in August, but then once again United's form seemingly goes out of the window with only 1 point from a possible 9 in September. After losing to Liverpool at the start of October, Ten Hag's men go on a 7-match winning streak that sees them into the start of December. But the busy winter schedule seems to catch up with them yet again, and they start dropping points, losing to Chelsea, Liverpool and Bristol City. A familiar face for those of you watching my Hertha Berlin save is added to the squad in January, with Elias Akahomak joining for £58 million. Aaron Wan-Bissaka also leaves United, heading over to Greek side AEK for £24.5 million. United's inconsistency continues throughout the remainder of the Premier League season, with losses to Spurs and Arsenal in February, no points picked up at all in the 2 March matches, further points dropped to Everton, Brentford, Leeds and Newcastle in the last 6 matches of the season means United finish in 6th place, once again outside of the Champions League spots and 30 points behind winners Liverpool. Ten Hag's time in charge seems to have done relatively little to bridge the gap between United's current form and an eventual Premier League win. And any fans watching the simulation must be hoping that Football Manager's gotten this one completely wrong, and in real life Ten Hag will offer much more improvement. In the other season 5 competitions, United are knocked out in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup by Stoke, losing on penalties after a 0-0 draw, with David De Gea missing the 11th penalty of the tie. In the Champions League, they once again finished top of their group, with 4 facing Inter Milan again in the knockout stages, beating them 3-1 on aggregate. A 2-0 win against Bayern Munich in the quarter-final sets up yet another semi-final for Man United, this time against Paris Saint-Germain, but once again they can't quite make it to the final, losing 6-2 across the 2 legs. However, Ten Hag does manage to at least win some silverware this season after defeating Spurs in the final of the FA Cup with another penalty shootout. They actually had a fantastic run in the FA Cup, only conceding 2 goals in the 6 matches they played. This piece of silverware means that in Ten Hag's 5 seasons in charge, United have won 1 Carabao Cup, 1 FA Cup and 1 Europa League trophy. They've finished inside the top 4 in 3 of the 5 seasons, with the highest finish being a 3rd place finish in season 4. Globally, I'd say that's a pretty underwhelming performance from Ten Hag, but comment down below and let me know what you think. Is this a realistic simulation of the future at Manchester United, or do you think Ten Hag will do a lot better in real life? And if you have watched this far in the video, then I assume you've enjoyed the content, in which case I'd really appreciate if you could drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you over on the next video. Bye bye.